Hi folks, welcome to Thursday night's tutorial. I'm doing the beeswax food wraps tonight. It seems really odd not having the sewing machine out. Although you could make a little pouch out of this. You could sew them up and then still put the wax on the fabric and make a little pouch, but we'll just concentrate on the actual wraps tonight. Apologies for coming on a little bit earlier. I need to nip to IKEA later, so I don't fancy being out in IKEA too late, so I thought I'd get this done and then go over. I'm trying to get some more tables for when I restart the sewing lessons again. Okay, so the beeswax wraps, when you can buy these, you can buy them in quite a lot of places. The nice eco-friendly way of wrapping your food instead of using cling film and was it tin foil. So yeah, they are really lovely to use. I do make these for to sell in the studio in the shop. I do them a different way, but I've kind of devised a way that you can do them at home as well. Now I'll tell you what you need, so if you want to get the bits yourself you can do, but I'm also going to put together a pack for this, so if you do want to order a pack, I can get all of that together for you, and then you've got everything you need rather than going out and getting the wax and then getting all the bits and bobs that you need. So I'm gonna work with the bee fabric. I've done a couple of these for work actually, in these fabrics, and it just says to me, because obviously it's wax and bees, so I'm using that tonight. But when you if you do want to order a pack, just let me know what fabrics you want. It does really need to be 100% cotton, so when you're looking through, try and choose the cotton. The polycotton will be fine, but the cotton is much better and does last a lot longer. Okay, so if I just bring the camera down. Hi Tony. When you pop on, if you pop on, just say hi, and then I know you're there. And if you watch this, obviously, because I'm a bit early tonight, if you watch this on catch up, just let me know that you've watched it and what you think, and if you've had a go. The wraps are great for kids. I mean, you could, like Tony, I know you're interested in doing this, so you could do this in lovely boy fabric for the boys to put their sandwiches in. And basically, I mean, this is just some biscuits I've grabbed, and you just fold it, and you fold it in on itself and push it in, and it just kind of molds to itself and sticks to itself. So, and they keep these sandwiches fresh. So yeah, lovely idea. Okay, and these make nice gifts as well. So when I do these in the studio, I actually when I do them to sell in the studio, I should say, I actually use a few more items just than the beeswax, but we can just use the beeswax for this, for you to do at home. I usually add a bit of organic coconut oil into mine. If you've got some of that, you can add a tiny bit of that in. I also use pine resin as well. So that is something, because I sell them, but if you're making these for yourself, you don't need all of that. When you get your kit, you'll have 3 fat quarters in there, so you can choose 3 fat quarters. You'll have enough of the wax beads to cover all the 3 fat quarters. You also need, now, greaseproof paper. I'll put some of that in as well, because not everybody has, unless you bake a lot, you don't normally buy that, so it's no point buying a whole roll of it just for one thing. So I'll have some of that for you. That's how much that's the amount that I buy it in, so you don't need to be buying that amount if you're just going to make a few bits for yourself. I mean, that is, you'd be surprised when you see how much you use. You don't use a lot, so I'll show you how much we use shortly. If you've got pinking shears, it's actually nice to cut the edges with pinking shears just to finish them off. It's not necessary, but it does look quite nice. I'm just going to do this. A fat quarter, actually, if you quarter it, that's quite nice sizes to go over jars and yogurts and things like that to go in the fridge, or wrap around a tomato or something like that. So I'm just going to cut mine. You can actually do the wax first and then cut it after, but I'm just going to do this first because I think this is easier doing it this way. Depends how sharp these are quite new, these pinking shears. My last ones were a bit rubbish, but I think if I'd have cut them after the wax was on it, they probably would have cut it quite well. So just see how you get on with your pinking shears if you're going to use them. So I've just cut this. Just cut it to whatever size that you want. I mean, obviously that's too small for a sandwich, but out of a fat quarter, you probably get, you would get out of the kit, I would say 8, maybe 10 actual pieces. So your fat quarter, you'd probably get two wraps out of that, or a really, really big one, and then maybe 2 small ones, and then out of the other 2 fat quarters, you'll get 4. So you cut them to size, whatever size you want. If you want to do them circular, square, oblong, whatever I won't cut them, you cut them to whatever size you need. Now, I am going to, I think I'm going to stand up for this. Let me just get my little ironing board. And normally I use my towel, but today I am going to use the ironing board because I don't want to burn the table. So this is just a tabletop ironing board that I've got, and I always have an old tea towel to use for something like this. So it is clean, but it's a bit stained with all bits and bobs that I've done, so I don't actually use that for the dishes. I use that for crafting. So if you've got a tea towel, just to protect your ironing board really, and then if you pop on your, I'm just going to turn that round because it's close, stop that from rolling. I'm going to do that with that as well. I'm just going to roll that so it stops, it doesn't spring back, turn it that way. Okay, now there's lots of ways of doing this. You can, when I do them, I either do them like this, but generally I'll melt everything together and paint it on. Takes a bit longer, to be honest, and this is a much easier way. As long as you keep your surface tidy and you've got this under your greaseproof paper and you take your time with it, your wax shouldn't bleed onto the iron or the ironing board. So just take your time, start off small and then add to it. So all you do is, some people do them in the oven, I've seen that as well before. Just pop your piece of fabric in the middle. Now if you want to do the whole fat quarter and your greaseproof paper isn't big enough, just do half at a time and just sprinkle on a couple of the beads. Now you don't need many. I would actually err on the side of caution. I'm going to take a few of those off actually. Don't put too many on to begin with. Kind of push them to the edge a little bit, but not right on the edge, because it will melt out to the back and to the sides. Okay, and then all you do, pop your other greaseproof paper on. Now just with your iron, it's better if you've got no steam, and just place it on and just gently let the iron heat up the wax. Doesn't take long. I can feel that's melting already, and you can actually see through the greaseproof paper actually. If you just move your iron over gently and gently, at first you can feel the bumps and the resistance, but after a little while, once it starts to melt, it melts very quickly actually. And then just use your iron and go in circular motion, just very small circular motion, and then kind of push it to the outside, because once the wax has melted, you can actually push the melted wax towards the outside. Now keep your iron moving as well, because you don't want to burn the greaseproof paper. Not that I don't think you will, with it being, it goes in the oven, so it should be okay. Now I've got no resistance there whatsoever, so I'm just going to take that off and have a little look. Now you will obviously have wax on this side of the paper and that side of the paper, so when you take that off, make sure that you don't place it downwards, turn it over and place it so the wax is facing upwards. You can actually see already that wax has started to harden already. Hi Erica, sorry, hi Amanda, I'm quite early today, so apologies about that. So you can actually see it's darker in places. So just add a few more bits of wax. Make sure it's on the fabric and not on the paper. And you might be better starting with your smaller pieces first, because if you start with your bigger pieces, because the wax does go onto the paper, as I pull that off there is wax under there. So you don't actually want, if you start with your bigger ones and then your smaller ones, there'll be quite a bit of wax around. I mean, it's not a problem, it just keeps it nicer, you know, nice and neat, and then you don't have to worry about too much wax on the paper. That's probably about enough. So as you can see, you don't actually use a lot. Just get that robe on there. And again, same process. Just pop the iron on. Just let it heat up. Just keep lifting it up and down. If you can feel too much of resistance, rather than pushing it, just lightly put your iron on and just kind of up and down motions until it starts to melt. And then start to do your circular once it melts. It's really simple, this. You can do this with kids, but obviously you're working with hot wax, you're working with a hot iron. But if they're supervised, if you think they're old enough and they're supervised, this is a really nice thing to do together, especially if they're going to use them for their lunches, to say that they've made them themselves. I mean, if you keep your eye on them, I'm sure they're going to be okay. And then you just get to the point where you feel no resistance. Okay, I'll take that off again. Yeah, that's much better. There's just a few little specks now. So you might take 2 or 3 attempts, but don't worry. And obviously, see my wax now has come out. Can you see that there is coming out towards the end? Just be careful. This is why I've got the tea towel on, because you don't want wax on your ironing board. I use this little one for all my crafting and anything. It's actually got burn marks on it and everything, so I don't mind if it's damaged at all. I can just put another cover on it. But if you're using your ironing board at home, just be careful you don't want the wax coming out, because obviously that'll get on your clothes. Now if it does, it shouldn't bleed through the paper. But if it does and it goes on your iron, while the iron's hot, just make sure that you wipe it down with another old tea towel. And then that way you're not going to get any wax on your clothes. Nice simple one, this, just really quick. I mean, you can see how long, I mean, that's taken about 5 minutes to do. And then all you do is peel that off. And while it's still warm, it will be still warm for a little while, just either waft it in the air, or you can actually, if you've got like a little maiden, you can set your maiden up where your working area is and then peg them onto your maiden. But they don't take long to dry at all and cool down. It's pretty much as quick as the wax dries. Hi Alice, hi Louise. So yeah, they are really, really simple, and that is that. So let me just see if I can put that there and you can see. And then you use the heat of your hand to put it over the jar, because obviously the heat of your hand will then warm the wax up a little bit. And then that is it, basically. And then if that was jam and I'd lost the lid, you could just pop that in the fridge. So really, really simple. It's a no-sew, obviously, but what you could do, let me just move that out of the way. You could, where's my spare fabric? Okay. So what you could do is, if you want to make like a little snack bag, you could do, I'm just going to do this rough, I'm not going to measure it or anything. Same process all over again. Now it'll take you slightly longer to do this because you're going to have double thicknesses, so you'll understand when I show you in a minute. Just do this really rough, just get the edges off there. And then the end there. So before you start putting your wax on, what you could do is, you've got your oblong there, you turn it up 3/4 and give it a little press if you want. and then that will cover that there. So let me turn that round there. So if you do this, lift it up, and if you stitch there to here and there to there, back tack both sides, then you've got a little pouch you can put bits in, some nuts or things, you know, things like that, and then just, you know, you've got a flap over there, and then what you do is you just put that down, put your wax on as normal, but you might have to turn it over. The wax will probably go through both, but you'll obviously need more wax to go over the back, and then you've made yourself a little food pouch then, which is quite good. Now, the best way to look after these when you've finished using them is don't put them in the dishwasher. They don't go in the dishwasher. Don't put them in the oven unless you're refreshing them. After they tend to last quite a while. But if you can see this when I pull that off, so you'll see all the creases now, and eventually all the creases, eventually it won't stick to itself. So what you can do is you can either put them back in the paper and then use your iron, or you can lay them on a tray, a baking tray, and just pop them in the oven, and it'll warm the wax up again, and then that will refresh it a little bit. To wash them, just lukewarm water. You can use a detergent. Try and use an eco one if you can, but if you're using a normal one, just a tiny little bit, just to get a bit of the lather up, and just give it a scrub with a like a dish, you know, like a dish stick thing. What are they called? You know, like the sponge with the green thing on the back. You can give it a bit of a rub. It does take. They're quite tough, but just make sure that you give it a good clean. No raw meat, don't put raw meat in it, no raw fish. Let me think. The ideal for sandwiches. I actually used mine today for my sandwich, and it was yeah, it kept it fresh. It was really lovely. What else? You can obviously put them in the fridge, and you can put them in the freezer as well. So if I pop that back up now. Hello. Okay, so yeah, if you want to pack, I can get all that sorted. I'll have the, you can choose 3 fat quarters, whatever you fancy. You'll have enough wax to cover the 3 fat quarters, and this is the beeswax. And what else will I put in there? I'll put some greaseproof paper in as well, because just in case you don't have any, saves you all, you know, going out to buy that. And I'll put in like a little, not instructions for how to make, because obviously you'll use a tutorial for that, but if you like instructions on what food you can't put in there, because that's important, and obviously not to put them in the dishwasher, in the oven, that kind of thing. So just a bit of a reminder of that. But yeah, so hopefully, as I say, if you don't have the pink and shears, because these are, I mean, I always say don't buy too much expensive kit. Pink and shears, if you get a pair of pink and shears, especially if you're starting to do a bit of dressmaking, they are quite useful. I think these were on Amazon. My sister got them for me, and I think they were about £12 for 2 pairs. So the other one's quite wavy. So, and they're really good with the fabric. So you can actually just Google that on Amazon or eBay even. But if you don't have pink and shears, it's fine. Just use the raw edge, because the wax will seal it, so it shouldn't fray. That's actually quite a nice size as well there. So yeah, so you don't have to have the bee one. If you want a kit, just let me know. And as I say, you don't have to have the bee fabrics. You can have any fabric you like. Most of my cottons are £6.99, £7.99, and these are between £6.99 and £7.99. I think that one's £7.99. That's £6.99, and I think that one's £7.99. So they're all pretty much about the same. So if you want to pack, I can do that for £10.99 with the postage. And if you want to collect, it'll be £8.99. So just let me know. Thanks, Amanda. Just yeah, if you want some, let me know, and you'll get a good set out of them, probably 6 to 10, depending what size that you go for. Okay, so oh, let me just show you, actually. I don't know whether you remember my iron was, I burnt the bottom of the iron, and I've tried all kinds of things to get that off. Somebody said something to me the other day to use a paracetamol, and I was quite a bit dubious, to be honest. But if you rub your paracetamol, now it melts, so just be careful if you're using your fingers. You can use a pair of tweezers, but I found when I was doing it before, I couldn't get much friction on it. But if you rub it on, see it slips through there, if you rub it on your iron plate, just keep rubbing it, and then just keep going over it, and then go back to that area again, it actually took it was like it wasn't like a burn mark that was, I don't know, like something stuck to it. It was actually the plate that was burnt, and it's a new iron this as well. So it actually did work. I mean, look at that. I've only given it a quick. You use that as well, Amanda? Yeah, I'll sort you out a pack, Erica. Let me know. You know what fabrics you want. I've never heard of that before. I think it's brilliant, so I'll be doing that. That's a really good trick to use. So so yeah, no more expensive. Well, that was an expensive iron, but no more burn marks on the bottom. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. It was a bit different, not an on-sew, but as I say, you can make a little pouch and put some grapes or something in there. Would be nice. Some biscuits even. Depends how long you're going to have your biscuits in. The thing is with things like biscuits and stuff, it's that something like that isn't going to be airtight, but it's okay for a couple of hours. Your sandwich, you can wrap it up and squeeze the ends, and it'll stick to itself. So that one there as well. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I shall be popping on. I'll try and do another video on Monday. And then next week, I'm already sorting a few plans for next week. I'll be back to sewing next week. So have a watch. Oh yeah, it does melt very quickly. Thanks, looks so easy to make. They are totally really easy to make, and you could definitely, like I said before, have I've got some lovely boy fabrics now, and get them to go on. If you're going to get a pack, Tony, get them to go on the Facebook page and just check what fabrics they've got and get them to pick their own, and just 3 fat quarters that can have a different one each. Louise, it's Bank Holiday Monday. Yes, it is on Monday. Yeah, mind you, not that it makes a difference to me because I'm closed every Monday, so the only difference it makes to me is I can't go to the bank. So, but although I might go in this Monday, I don't know, I'll see. So yeah, that's about it really, I think. As I say, when I do them for the studio, I use the pine resin, and I use the you can actually use, is it jojoba or jojoba, however you pronounce that. I like the organic coconut oil, but you know, if you've got a bit of that, you can add a little tiny bit into that if you're going to use it and melt it all together. But this is much easier. When I do it, I'm using a brush, and it is a bit of a faff. This is much easier, but obviously you can't add your pine resin to that. Okay, so yeah, let me know if you want to pack, and I'll sort that out for you. And take care, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, bye. Oh, have a good bank holiday weekend. Bye.